Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this month's Southall Matters meeting. As usual, if you don't want to appear in the recording, please keep your cameras switched off. And we do request that respect is shown to all members of this particular meeting, even if you disagree with a certain viewpoint. So there's lots going on in Southall. And I think we're going to devote quite a bit of time to talking about the latest planning application submitted by Berkeley Group to increase the number of homes on the site of the Green Quarter from 3,750 to 8,100, more than double. And I think most people are quite incredulous by this. Joe, can I hand over to you to share your thoughts on this latest planning application? Is there anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, basically, Angela, you've seen what we've been through recently. And it seems that it's just getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, the word I would love to use is the situation with the flats in Southall is out of order, basically.
Absolutely.
And people have sent me messages saying that, Joe, basically, they're trying to kill us. They don't realize that if an ambulance doesn't turn up in 5 hours, you're gone if you've had a heart attack. You're gone. You've just lost your life. Sorry, you've just lost your life. And this is what these councillors are not understanding. All the councillors are interested in is going to the meetings with the developers and enjoying their freebies. That's the only thing I can say. I'm sorry,
Don't apologise. Yeah.
That's the only proof that I've seen with the photographs. I mean, the councillor in Southall West, she's become. Do you remember in the old days they used to have adverts of cigarettes on billboards,
Yes.
Rothmans, Benson and Hedges, and they used to have these models. So basically, she's just become a role model for Berkeley Group, far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think, my perspective is it's all about self-interest. And I don't think they are that naive to think that the increase in the number of homes is actually going to be to the benefit of all residents. I think they just simply do not care. They are blinded by the wealth in front of them, the kind of access they've got to a lifestyle of 5-course dinners, which ordinarily they could not afford themselves. And that's a deal clincher for them.
I feel pity for them, basically, because it's us, the public, who've put them in that office or in that status. And they don't have 1 ounce of respect for us, basically.
Yeah, I've been looking through the planning applications, and I'll just see if I can find it. Let me just have a look. Last time I checked, there are a total of 86 comments. 83 are actually objections and 3 supporting. And just scrolling through most of the objections, the common objection is to do with the lack of infrastructure in Southall.
And we've always said this.
Sorry, Joe?
We've always said this.
Yeah.
We've been saying this since 2010, 2008, 2009. And you've seen the video film of the MP and the so-called councillor, Ranjit Deer, I think it is, or Deer. And they're speaking our language. But yet, for some reason, they've changed their minds, Everything's hunky-dory in the kitchen, and we've actually left the kitchen, because the heat is too much in the kitchen. But they're still there. They're still singing from the same hymn sheet as the developers are. So far as we're concerned, we are still standing by everything since 2008, 2009, that there is no infrastructure, because there is going to be mass movement of people into these flats. I mean, we've just estimated 4 per family. You know, and I know that not every family, you know, that there's a husband, a wife, and 2 children. So,
Joe, that's
16 to 20,
going to be
16 to
common in a
20,000
one-bedroom
people.
flat. Yeah, you know, if they're, you know, largely going to be buy to let, you'll have 2 people in the bedroom, and the living area will be converted to a bedroom, whether it's a pull-out bed or bunk beds. And we talk from experience, because we know that is the, you know, it's the reality where we live. Yeah, it's like that where I live, and it's the norm. Yeah, overcrowding because of the high rents. You know, we met that young man, and presumably he had quite a well-paid job in IT, but only struggling to get by. And he was paying, was it 2,200 or something like that?
£2,500 per month rent.
Oh, right, even more. 2,500, yeah.
For a 2-bedroom. That's ridiculous.
Well, you know, you'll see these flats overcrammed with young people, because that's the only way the rent can be paid. And
well, the question, Angela, that I would put to the councillors, and I said this on Desi Radio, how does it benefit the local community if the flats are being advertised in Singapore, Hong Kong, China? How does it help the Southall people?
It doesn't.
How does that help with the shortage?
It doesn't.
They keep saying, you know, they keep saying there's 18,000. Sometimes they go to meetings, they say there's 22,000 on the housing register. I wish they would tell us the truth. But if they're selling these properties abroad, how does that help the people who are waiting on the council list? That's what
it absolutely does not. You know, if, as Peter Mason keeps telling us, the average income in Southall is circa 18,000, maybe 18,500, there is no way they'll be getting a mortgage or be able to make the rent on a 1-bedroom flat on this development.
No, Angela, what I was saying was the ones that they sell abroad.
Yeah.
How does that help the council? Oh, sorry, the council's waiting list. So you're building these expensive. No, you're building these expensive flats. Yeah. You're selling them abroad. So how does that relieve the shortage of accommodation for the people waiting on the housing register? It blows my mind. It doesn't make economical sense. I think these guys have to go to school because their maths are very bad.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think, obviously I haven't got the evidence, but my gut feeling is that a significant percentage of people living on the site don't spend their money in Southall.
Well, we were at the restaurant on the road. Do you remember when we were at the restaurant?
Yeah.
When we had the meeting with the Museum of London?
Yeah.
I asked the restaurant, do you get foreign nationals coming into your restaurant? And they said no. So where the communities are supposed to be mingling together, it's not happening, is it?
Well, we see people walking down the street, don't we? Heading for the station.
Of course.
And we see groups of them waiting on a platform to catch a train to Heathrow. I'm not seeing this integration at all.
No. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I'm sorry to say, but it's not working.
Joe, can we just pause for a minute? There's a couple of people who've just entered the meeting.
Sure.
So I want to say welcome to Southall Matters meeting. Just to
Yep.
let you know, the meeting is being recorded. If you don't want to appear in the recording, please continue to keep your camera switched off, because later on tonight, I will share the recording, and the primary aim of that is to get more people to object to Bartley Group's planning application to increase the number of homes astronomically on the site of the former gasworks. Yeah, Ray, did you want to say something? So I know you've got strong opinions on it as well.
Hang on.
Okay, when you're ready, unmute yourself. But it's really devastating, I think, and we live in the town. We know how difficult it is to get an appointment at the GP. So, you know, we can't just look at the gasworks in isolation. We all know about the developments on Merrick Road, the flats going up on the site of Southall Market, Park Avenue, the plan to build flats around the back of the Dominion Centre. And I'm sure you can think of other developments that I've missed. You know, this is a town that cannot support such a huge increase or projected increase in population. Out of the 7 towns in Ealing, we have the second highest population, but we are an area that faces multiple disadvantages. We have a very high rate of type 2 diabetes. Asian men have a shorter lifespan in comparison to men in other parts of the borough. We all know about overcrowding because people are struggling to pay the rent and mortgage. We all know about the outhouses where people live, and possibly that plays a role in extensive fly tipping in the area. I sat in my car, I was caught in traffic about a couple of weeks ago because the A312 in the direction of the M4 was closed, and the amount of traffic in the area backed up was phenomenal. This was a Monday night. I was travelling back from seeing a friend who lives in Witton near Twickenham, and I reached Montague Way and it was chock-a-block heading towards Western Road. So I turned round and went down King Street and then took a left onto Western Road and then a right onto Featherstone Road. And I live on Scots Road. So by the time I got home from Montague Way, I would estimate my journey time was the same as my journey from Witton to Montague Way. You know, it was absolutely ridiculous. When I was caught in traffic on Featherstone Road, and, you know, those of you who know Old Southall, that's where Featherstone Primary School used to be, but it's now a housing development. You have cars parked on either side of the road. And I thought to myself, there was no way an ambulance would be able to get through. You know, this is critical, really, and people will die because paramedics are not able to get to them in a timely manner. And, you know, I think I'm still in shock that Bartley Group has the audacity to put in an application for just a ridiculous number of homes. And possibly what is of more shock is our MP Virendra Sharma, will not object to the planning application. Yet back in 2010, he was against it. And he talked about the schools not being able to cope, the hospital, transport issues, and so on. So what has changed in that time? I mean, I can tell you what's changed. We had a fantastic community centre, and that was sold off. And that is another site where I believe a planning application is being submitted or has been submitted for more flats. We do not have a space that is secular where people can go and there's no religion involved, where we can meet and we could do things like fitness classes, activities like Saturday school for young children, and so on. And I felt a bit envious because Hayes and Harlington Community Centre advertised a coffee morning, which they've just started running on a Tuesday morning and a Thursday morning. And I thought, this is something we really need in Southall, a place that does very modestly priced drinks and snacks. So it's not going to cost £10 just for a couple of coffees. Tell me where, we can do this in Southall. And, Bartley Group launched their community venue called Parkside Yards last summer. And in a letter that I've seen to 2 invitees to the community engagement steering group, they made it clear it's a temporary facility. So I strongly suspect it will be demolished to make way for more housing. And in the meantime, there will be nowhere for people who are not private owners to meet and socialise on the site. And, I would say, really, do people want to do that on an active building site? I was at Parkside Yards a few weeks ago with Joe. We met a journalist there who did some filming for an article. And the stench was terrible. There was a strong, smoky, burning odour. And we actually sat outside in the courtyard, and it was very windy. And the wind picked up dust that was just basically blown around the area. And I would actually have to question, what are we inhaling? What's in the dust? What's being embedded in our lungs? It was terrible. And it's something that the videographer was aware of. And likewise, when Zach Polanski, the deputy leader of the Green Party, came to visit, and certainly his colleague, Andre Fries, she experienced a sore throat and a headache. And sadly, those are common symptoms in the area. So, to be quite frank, I'm disappointed that none of our elective representatives are actually supporting us publicly, whether that's Virendra Sharma or one of the local councillors representing Southall Green, Southall West and Southall Broadway. Okay, does anybody else want to make a contribution? Ray, do you want to say anything? Rashpal? I know you've got strong view. Welcome, Rashpal.
Good night. What should I say? Good evening.
Oh, good evening. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's we are facing so many issues. I don't know what to say really, because no one is taking action. So we are trying our best, whatever we can do. Like communicating and like. We are there is so much is going on. I don't know what how to stop it. Like nobody is listening to us, like the leaders who are representing us. I haven't seen anyone, and they are not willing to talk, or they're not willing to discuss, and they don't inform the public, there are I saw in the planning application where you told me, I did manage to sign there, and there are lots of they are approved around the in this borough. There were 78 of them, and they were no, I'm not nobody told me about them before, like there were few I signed now this time, and this is not very healthy for the public, like buses. If you go, the other day I went on the bus, and it's too crowded, they are not like, they should be trained, the drivers, how many passengers should be on, and they stops on the way, and it's, if somebody want to go to work, on time, then how it is possible, and they should be aware of these things, like public needs, and also here too much, like they blowing horns at work when morning times, in Broadway, on Broadway, where I live near, and in evening and morning they blowing horns, which is and it's not very good for the mental health, like noise pollution, like traffic pollution, and people also, they have to sit, longer. It is overcrowded. They are, like building this. I don't know why they're building so many, these blocks. But what what they will, who will live in there? And I wouldn't able to live in the boxes, like those ones. They're very small for the human, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And I don't know what else to say. They should think before planning, and they're doing, like around the area. It is like there are not many facilities for the people, like for the older people or younger people, or the, like middle-aged ones, and with the children, families, they, in my opinion, they are suffering, and they are not coming forward, they should come forward if they are suffering, and then something can be, done. Otherwise, if they're gonna keep quiet and they keep voting these labor and these conservatives, what they are doing, they are just like so many, they're charging, so much for the things, and the poor people can't, they are not thinking about the poor people, uh, they are just I don't know, they thinking about the, in my opinion, rich people.
Yeah,
And
you've hit the nail on the head. It's about greed, and it's about maximizing profit for the shareholders. Initially, obviously, for the senior management, but they also are shareholders in Barclay Group, and they do not give a flying fig about people in Southall. They've got no idea about our lives. They're quite aggressive in their approach. Likewise with the consultants who they employ to compile all the reports as part of the planning application. I read the health impact assessment, and to me, it doesn't reflect the guidance from the World Health Organization on how to do a health impact assessment.
It needs proper planning. The system has failed badly, and these people are coming again and again. Like these parties. I don't trust them. I used to support them, but now a few years back, I just thought to myself, and they're not doing much here around here. Then I joined your, like cash. and you obviously helped me a lot, with the issues like. And I would like your, like Joe, all of, in our group to, like do, first more for the public, and
we try our best, but we're only small. And
yeah.
with hindsight, if we were well resourced and had plenty of time and didn't need to go to work and juggle paying the bills and all the sorts of constraints that make it difficult to campaign, I would
Yeah,
like to have actually got out there on the streets to raise
yeah,
awareness and
yeah.
taken, a tablet and had a meeting, for instance, in a local restaurant and got people to actually lodge their objections there and then online. Because I think we would have got many, many more people, because we are living and breathing what is happening in our town. Do you
Yeah,
mind if I just quickly read out something that a participant has shared in the chat box? And they have said, for such massive changes to the area, surely local residents should be informed well in advance and supported in providing informed feedback on any developments. Also, the current population size could well be an underestimate, given how many undocumented migrants there probably are in the area. I totally agree. I thought the ward forums were a very good way to actually engage with the councillors and also the council officers who would turn up from time to time to give presentations, for instance, on, neighbourhood safety. And there is no communication, and by and large, the councillors don't reply to emails. That's if somebody's got access to an email in the first place to communicate.
that's bad.
Yeah, and I totally
It's not.
agree with the point about the population.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree with
probably,
her.
I said, my, stab in the dark, if you look at all the developments underway or being planned for, we're probably getting on for a population of about 140,000.
I think they are just
I think
making it.
probably more. There's lots of migrants. I suppose they're students by and large on student visas. And
Yeah.
what I talked about in the last meeting, we see them on the bus. You talked about the buses, the 195 bus. I don't know, maybe I'm just unlucky, but whatever time of day I travel, that bus, because it's a single decker, is absolutely rammed with people.
There
And then,
are lots of people, more people now everywhere. I have noticed too. And there are not enough facilities, but they are just bringing the people, and they are suffering too. It's not healthy for them either. They need proper, like a proper, properly managed, everything. And these people don't know how to manage anything at all, in my view,
they
And
probably end up
like,
in one bedroom, paying a ridiculous rent for that, not having access to, for instance, proper recycling and refuse facilities. Yeah, but I see them quite often walking along my road with big suitcases on the 195 bus. They put their big suitcases on wheels in the gangway. And I feel sorry for the elderly people, actually, because you can hardly get past. But, obviously money's an issue. They can't afford to get an Uber, or another taxi firm to get them, to their destination, wherever they are going to be renting a room.
they're charging a lot of money for the, the parking car,
Yeah.
near the shop. If the people can't park near the shops, then where will they park? How they will do their shopping. Like if an elderly person want to go on the main road to the doctor or somebody, like important, how they will go visit. Like these buses are also overcrowded. And that also traffic is bad. Like over, everything we are suffering, and these people just making money.
Yeah. I
And
mean, the traffic
also.
was bad last week because my daughter's high school actually sent an email to all parents acknowledging how bad the traffic was because children are turning up to school late. And the email said, something along the lines, leave earlier or find an alternative route. And that's easier said than done. The traffic was absolutely tremendous, and it causes obviously a backlog in public transport. The buses are queuing up as well and are stationary and not going anywhere. And
It's not was, it didn't. It was not used to be like that before. Now it is getting like bad, and these people are not doing anything. So people need to do some, like even they can speak or they can support somebody is doing in work for them. They can support, they can join also, like your where our organization or some, like that, if they want any support. Otherwise it will gonna, it's getting worse day by day, in my opinion. I don't know if
we live
others
here,
feeling.
so we are the experts on our town, not these consultants who write reports which effectively greenlight the development rather than focusing on the negatives. And
The local knows
it's going to be disastrous, because, as I said, we don't have a community centre. We used to have a fantastic sports centre, but the problem was the council leased that from West London College. West London College decided they needed the building back for construction courses. And, I fear really for the health of residents. I used to go there and it catered for all different ages, and you'd see sort of mature women, and they wouldn't necessarily go to the gym and work out on the equipment, but they'd relax in the sauna and chat to their friends in the sauna. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, good for mental health. Where do they go now? And I was astounded at Councillor Anand on the radio station when I phoned in. She said the centre didn't have a sauna. Well, I thought, well, I know because I used to go there. And it's ridiculous that you've got these councillors allowed to peddle propaganda on Desi radio. It's really harmful for the community. And the turn, what's it going to take? People calling for an ambulance and their loved one dying because a paramedic doesn't get there in time. Kids not being able to get a place in a local school and going to Northall School, which is undersubscribed. It's all the way in Northall. I went there for a job interview. It took me an hour and a half to get there. I was almost late. Left home at 7 o'clock. And I only just made it for 8:30.
There are not proper not factories like there used to be factories for the people, in Southall. They just what is the use of flats? This I don't understand this. Before they demolish them, and now they're building again. What is the point of this building this? Like there was a library in Southall, like on the Green. And they are closing, all the facilities for the locals. Where they will go, how it will affect them, and I see like on the social media, I am like quite go on busy on the social media. I witness, I watch people posting, and I can like tell they are suffering, like mentally. And these people are just not bother about anybody else. They're not old people, not young people, not they closing the facilities and they opening the making these big flats. And what if like in London the thing, like flats caught fire, And
They don't care. You know, I think there's a flat being built on the green somewhere, and I believe that's only got a single staircase, but it fulfills building regulations and what, you know, GLA deem acceptable as well. So I think it's money, money, money. And I'm sad to say what happened at Grenfell will probably happen again. Yeah. There
where
was
I
a fire
live,
somewhere in Southwark. It was a high rise. I can't remember the name of the development, but it was back in 2007, and people died, and lessons were not learned.
I
No, it will
witnessed.
just continue to repeat over and over again every few years.
I witnessed people, you know, lot of people on road, you know, on the roads at night near my Broadway side, and they are, you know, like maybe taking something, you know, like drugs or alcohol or something, and they're making loud noises, you know, like even police are not doing anything about them. You know, it's very, you know, like too much noise pollution here. And this is ongoing. You know, I reported to police, and they never came back to me. You know, the police. I reported them so many times, and
You know, it's
they're
a hard life for people,
yeah,
and it's hard on you that you're having to deal with all these antisocial behaviors, which is impacting on your mental health and well-being. You know, it's no fun being disturbed at night and not having a good night's sleep.
yeah.
Now, I remember a few years back, I had to pick up a prescription at one of the chemists on King Street. And the chemist had a certain time set aside for people to collect, I believe it was their methadone prescription. And I remember turning up, and yeah, he didn't have like, you know, immaculate appearance, but he had a little girl with him, and she was immaculately dressed. How many people are heroin addicts in this community? You know,
Yeah, people sleeping rough. You know, I see sometimes. You know, outside. And one time I was going to work in the morning. I saw Asian girl also, Indian girl, Punjabi speaking, and one
mm-hmm,
boy. They
mm-hmm.
were outside, you know. I witnessed her for many days, you know, on the roads. And this is I never witnessed in my, you know, I'm living here for many years now. I never witnessed like that before, you know. And people, maybe people are with the suitcases, like you said, they are going. I also witnessed going here and there, you know, and I don't know what's going on here. This is not
Rashpal,
suitable. Yeah.
the girl and boy, where are these people sleeping? You know, if you're seeing them in the early hours,
I saw the
are
boy
they
sleeping.
homeless? Are they sleeping on the street in a doorway somewhere?
I don't know. I saw the boy sleeping, and she was talking on the phone on the like video call to somebody. Maybe she sleeps. She will get up when people start to go to work
Hi there.
early in the like
Sorry.
4 or 5 o'clock.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
late.
And then the boy was sleeping still. Maybe she sleep before or like that, turn by turn. I don't know what's
Yeah,
happening.
yeah. Homelessness is a definite problem that's not really spoken about. And I remember seeing somebody who was homeless, and this was in the summertime, and they were behind the playground on Spencer Street, and I thought it was a mannequin, and then suddenly I saw this foot move, and it was a man, and he said, I'm waiting for St. Mungo's to come and collect me. And I said, you know, I really feel for you. And he got quite emotional. And I walked away because, you know, I wanted to give him his dignity and respect. And, you know, it wouldn't have been fair for him to break down in front of me. Yeah, but, you know, where are the councillors? Why are we not discussing these issues affecting our community. I'm going to bring Sufyan in because I know you're running late, but thank you for joining us. Greatly appreciate. And I'm going to hand over to you. I have to nip to the loo. So over to you, Sufi.
Yep. Sorry, guys. I was running late. I had to pick up the missus from work and then just a whole lot of things happened. So I do apologize. Just wanted to touch base about the vote which happened in Parliament last week regarding the ceasefire in Palestine. Now, I am not a political figure, nor am I a position of power in the council as such. But I am in a position of power because I am a reputable character in this community. Now, our MP has failed us once again. Our MP, I spoke to his parliamentary assistant, Mr. Dominic Muffet, the night before the vote. I had a 35-minute conversation with his office. I said, look, our people in Palestine, and I say our people because Palestine is the land of the people. It does not belong to Israel. It does not belong to the Middle East. It belongs to Palestine. And they are our people. They are our brothers and sisters, our fellow human beings. I spoke to Mr. Dominic Muffet the day before. I said, look, I would like to speak to Mr. Sharma urgently. I sent an email off 2 weeks prior to this vote. I constructed that email. It took me about 2.5 hours to get all the facts and figures because I wanted to be bang on with it. Dominic said to me, Mr. Sharma doesn't have the time to speak to you. He will vote the way he wants to vote. I then said, I will not vote for somebody or a party who does not vote for a ceasefire. That includes Seema Mahotna, that includes Tandezi, that includes any local MP, any national MP, anybody who has not supported this ceasefire, you're on your way out. Because the UK does not stand with Israel. There was a march of 2.5 million people in the heart of London last week. Outside Parliament that day, the vote was happening. There was a group of 25,000 activists and protesters. They were peacefully protesting. The police flipped it on us once again. And I wasn't directly there, but I had live footage from there because I had people live on Instagram. I had people calling me saying, how do we get into Parliament? Do you have any contacts? I said, look, I can't get into Parliament, but wait outside. Because all these MPs which have failed us, including, and obviously this is not a race thing, this is not a religion thing, but the Muslim MPs which have failed us as the Muslim community, the Islamic community, the community which they represent, because these people who knock on my doors, they say, oh, we support you, we're Muslim, we're brothers, we're sisters, you should support us in Parliament, vote for us. Same line Sharma uses on the Sikhs and the Hindus in the temples. We are all one. We are not all one, because when it comes down to it, you pick and choose who you want to help. If we were actually all one, you would be on this meeting right now facing your constituents, because your constituents wrote you. Your parliamentary assistant told me 2,000 emails he has to respond to, all with that same template. You're telling me you didn't listen to 2,000 people. But because of this, and because of your position in power, you've got a big head and you can't even get on the phone to me now. The day of this vote, I called his office then, after the vote. I said, I want to speak to Mr. Sharma. They put the phone down. The next day I called, it was user busy. I called them today. No answer. I've sent them an email as a direct warning saying we're going to be outside your office in a couple of days, so you better hide, basically. Because I will say it happily on here, we are going to plaster the flag of Palestine all across Southall, because we stand with Palestine. We do not stand with Israel. We stand with humanity and we stand with Palestine, because Palestine, from This thing did not start on the October the 7th. This started in the 1940s. What is going on did not start a month and a half ago. This started in the 1940s when the Palestinians invited the people of Israel. Sorry, Israel didn't even exist. The Jewish people into their land for safety. What did they go and do? Now, those kids who those Palestinian grandmothers looked after, let's say 70 years ago or 80 years ago, their kids, of those kids, have gone and shot that grandmother. The house they were brought up in Palestine, the woman was shot. People are getting bombed left, right, and center. You've got people, you've got the journalist, Momtown, in the West Bank. I commend this guy so much for putting Palestine on the map, in the sense that we would not have a damn clue on that severity of it if it wasn't for him. I saw a video just before I got on here. There is a baby which was unborn where the mum's stomach has been blown to bits. That baby, what? Was that a terrorist? Was the mother a terrorist? I've asked him time and time again. I said, Mr. Sharma, I plead you, I plead you, I please you. Stand with the damn people. Don't stand with your pockets. Don't worry about your seat in parliament, mate. We could have saved you. Now there is no saving you. You are going to resign. We want you to resign. And that is a direct call out to you. The people of Southall want you to resign. So get out of that seat and do one now. You had your reign, you had your fun glowing in India and wherever else you glow. And say you've conquered England. You've not conquered your own toilet seat, mate. Let's be honest. But honestly, Mr. Sharma, you need to leave that seat now. Take a hike, mate, and do one. Because you have failed your people once again at such a severe level. There is going to be protests in Southall. Now, the Met Police can know this. Because I'm the one who's been doing the calls to the BTP when they're protesting at stations to give them the heads up. The BTP, I'm in the Midlands currently. The BTP were informed by myself that there would be people jumping onto the tracks at Birmingham New Street last week. If it wasn't down for my call, because I've got all the inside, if it weren't down for my call, the BTP would have been stranded. Lines would have been suspended and whatever. But it's thanks to people like me, because we don't want it to go down that route, because this is not a protest to create conflict. This is a protest to say, as we've done time and time again, within Cash, within Ealing, within Southall, within nationwide, we do these protests to get our voices heard, because our voices aren't heard in a peaceful way. Yeah, we've always been peaceful in Cash, but this thing isn't to do with Cash. This isn't to do with Southall. This is a national thing to do with the people of Palestine who are being murdered. And it is a genocide, as I carry on saying. People don't understand how bad it is until you actually see an unborn baby being blown to bits. Yeah, guns being pointed at mothers' heads. Are they the terrorists, or are these people with guns the terrorists? Because more time than not, the police and the army and the military and whatever else want to call us terrorists when we are out there with our headscarves or with our thobes on, and we are going and living our ordinary lives. Were the terrorists then because of 9/11? Were the terrorists because of 7/7? But what about you guys who are there, blowing up babies, blowing up mothers, blowing up grandmothers? That's not terror. That's freedom of speech. This is the hypocrisy we face time and time again, and I've had enough of it. So
yeah, thank you, Sophie. I mean, what you've got to say is very poignant, and yeah, there needs to be freedom of speech in this country. And for us to hold the local MP accountable. You know,
Yeah, and
if
this is-
constituents were asking him to support the vote for a ceasefire and he chose not to, you know, whose interests is he serving at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And what's very
I'm
interesting,
sorry,
somebody
Angela, just
joined
wanna-
me. Yeah,
I just
carry
want to
on.
make it clear, Virendra Sharma did not object to the ceasefire, but he
Sorry, say again?
abstained.
Sorry, abstained. Sorry,
So I
correction.
want to make it
He
very clear.
abstained. Yeah, he
I
abstained.
want to make it very
Apologies.
clear. And the way we interpreted that is if you're not voting in favor of a ceasefire, you are voting against it. Whether you're not voting at all, you've got the leverage to move it, but you've made it stay like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
thank you for the correction.
so I want to make it very clear, Virendra
Yeah.
Sharma has not voted against the ceasefire, fire, rather, if I can speak, but he abstained from the vote. So this is not a sort of go at him for not voting in favor of the ceasefire or anything, but it's the fact that he manipulated us once again to get us off the phones, as he normally does, that he needs to now be held accountable in public, in a public forum, where we seriously need to shake up the system. And this is a personal thing, I think he needs to resign. He's number one, he's incompetent as an MP. He can't stand in his own meetings and run his meetings. He has to get a younger member of the Labour Party, who is the leader of the council, to run his meetings. He needs to run his own meetings if he wants to stay in power. He needs to face his constituents, which he failed, and he needs to apologize to his constituents for lying to them once again, for not corresponding and being transparent. As his leader of his council always say, transparency. Where was his transparency in those emails, in those phone calls we were making to him? So just want to make that very clear, because I don't want
Thank you for the correction.
No
But
worries.
somebody sent me a poster from a WhatsApp group. There is a protest on Friday, which is the 24th of November at 2 p.m. and it's outside of his constituency office on the Green, 112A, the Green. And they're calling the people who've organised this for him to resign.
Yeah.
But I think, there needs to be obviously greater pressure put on him publicly. And it's not something he should be allowed to wriggle out of. And whenever he holds his next community meeting, there needs to be a way for constituents to actually question him on why he chose to abstain and what he can be doing to actually support in Parliament the call for a ceasefire. Yeah, but thank you, Sophie, because I know it's a very emotive subject. I don't know if anybody else wants to add to what Sophie said.
Just one other thing is that this wasn't a we know the British government might not necessarily have caused that ceasefire, but it's the point that we had the leverage because it was brought to Parliament after over 100,000 people signed the petition in less than 12 hours. Yeah, less than 12 hours, they reached well over 100,000 signatures. And it was the British government who said, we stand with Israel. It was actually the Prime Minister who said those lines. And after that, the British people and the people of the UK and England and London mobilized very quickly, as we normally do when it comes to issues like this, like Black Lives Matter or the Palestinian issue we're facing, or whether it's something else. We mobilized very quickly. We got the numbers.
When I was young, it was the poll tax back in the 90s.
Yeah. So.
And that was, abandoned and replaced with the council tax. So, it's possible to effect change, but it needs people to come together, stand strong, and really be aware of who their enemies are, who wants to buy their silence. There's a lot of that happens in Southall. But before we move on, does anybody else want to contribute to the discussion on the Gaza-Israeli conflict?
Yeah, whatever, like this is going on for now some time, and they have killed so many like innocent people. I every day almost I see on the TV, news, and it's all over the social media, and it makes like so sad and upset, and is like it affects you badly mentally, and I
Yeah.
don't know what these like the people are in power. They can't see or they're doing on purpose. I don't know much about the history. About Israel and Palestine. They should be like separate. Like one part to this and like what Israel gonna do over there? Why they taking their things? And also they like they like they killed so many people, and they are not doing is this right? That is it shouldn't happen. They should stop it. Like they should run the world properly, like how it should be. Like people are suffering and they don't know, they just interested in making money. Like
Yeah.
before, how many wars they fought, like America and other countries also they participate. And whatever is going around in the world, like India, everywhere, also other countries, and it's not right. They shouldn't do that. These are not fit for the. Even if like I go on the Twitter, I comment and they reply me. Like they don't reply me. Like in favor of the people. They reply something else, and also they say something against the public, and they tweet, they like put posts or they spread news or whatever it is against the public, and they building these buildings or whatever they're doing in the like here also, it's not in favor of the public. Like public is they're not asking their opinion, or they're, even if somebody's talking, they like they're putting them into in the prison, or they punishing them for the like speaking up. So it, and
People have to
people,
be freedom fighters
yeah,
and stand up for their rights. It happened during slavery. It happened in South Africa. And as long as there is injustice, people will always rise up and challenge. And we have to say to our elected representatives, it's not good enough that you are not listening to what the people want.
It's like
It will happen, because I think people won't forget, and I've seen people of all different religions in Southall criticizing Virendra Sharma, and I just have this belief in humanity that people will stick by what is the right thing to do.
yeah, people,
I would like to think this will undermine Mr. Sharma.
So sorry, just as of 2 hours ago, the death toll has reached over 14,500 people killed in the West Bank of Gaza. That's basically Palestine.
Yeah.
More than 14 since October the 7th, in less than 2 months. So
you can't help, if you're a humane person, and you go onto Twitter and you see like Times of Gaza and the footage they share, and seeing dead children in shrouds being held by their parents. I saw an image of a father and child lying on their shroud, and this is heartbreaking. I don't know these people. I don't have to know these people personally to know what has happened is an injustice. And
they bomb the hospitals, they bomb the like sick people, and they bomb the buildings, the innocent people where they live. Why they're doing, like if they're I don't understand this at all. I think they are just bullying people. These they got the power. They think they can kill anybody. They can do anything, you know.
But
Whatever
Virendra
they want.
Sharma, you know, needs to wake up. And I don't know who's going to the protest outside of his office on Friday at 2:00. I hope it's very well attended. I hope that there is good representation from people who actually live in his constituency, not just people from outside. You know,
so sorry, just want to mention why everybody's kicking up about Palestine. Palestine has a mosque called Al-Aqsa. Al-Aqsa is one of the holiest mosques outside of Mecca, outside of Saudi Arabia. It's one of the holiest places. As Palestine and Israel, well, I don't even class Israel as a state, and that's my personal opinion. If anyone's got an issue, they can raise it with me outside of this. But Jerusalem is also in Palestine, yeah, which obviously is holy to the Christians, the Catholics, and also the Muslims. You've got Al-Aqsa, which is obviously holy to the Muslims. So a lot of this thing has not just come from, oh, you're bombing a country which is in the Middle East, or because it's majority Muslim. It's the point that it's a holy part of land, and they have attacked the mosque, but they have not yet bombed the mosque. If I might be speaking out of turn, I don't know, I've not checked the stats today, but from what I last saw, they've not attacked the Al-Aqsa mosque, because that mosque, you'll most likely know it from a picture, the gold dome. That mosque is very holy. So it will be and this is not a war. Like a lot of people are referring this to as a war. In order to call it a war, is two sides having two militaries going and killing each other for a sole purpose. This is not a war. This is a war crime, which Israel is committing, because it's not that land was never theirs, and we can go round and round in circles here, but I will tell you for sure, look at a map in the 1930s, Israel did not exist. Israel is a made-up state which has just been taken and taken and taken, plot of land, bit by bit, by Palestine. And the Palestinians on October the 7th, not all the Palestinians, Hamas, which is a group of rebellions, thought, you know what, we've had enough shit going on in the last 60, 70 years. Let's fight back. So Hamas has been around for a number of years. I don't know how long, but they went and they attacked a military base. And I underline the thing, military base. As a result, Israel sort of threw their toys out the pram, to say the least, and went and bombed a whole village. That's the difference.
Yeah, but you can't deny they attacked a music festival, because what happened to people who were just having a nice time, you know, young people, is, to me, just as depraved, yeah, as what Israel is doing now. Because to kill somebody, that individual who does that, whatever their, you know, belief or persuasion is, lacks humanity. Yeah. But I am conscious we can talk about this, but can we now bring it back to the planning application, because time is ticking. Yeah. The deadline to submit an application is 11 o'clock tonight.
It's 11 o'clock.
Yeah, because, you know, this is another injustice. I'm not comparing it to killing people in Israel or Palestine, but it's going under the radar.
Course, yeah.
Yeah. So I've put the link in the chat box if you haven't already lodged an objection. And the reference number that you need to put in the planning search box is 234110, and then out in capital letters, OUT. You know, it's important, because Bartley Group were very slick in how they did their consultations. The emphasis on green space and biodiversity, and the site can actually manage an extra 5,500 homes. This is good for Southall. People are going to end up with serious ill health. We've already talked about Ealing Hospital. Ealing Hospital doesn't have a maternity ward. Yeah, it doesn't have a pediatric ward. Yeah. I needed an appointment to see a dermatologist. It took 9 months for the appointment to come through from Ealing Hospital. And Sufi, you said to me, you were lucky to get an appointment at all, with a dermatologist. Think about something that's seriously life-threatening, like diabetes and heart disease. People are going to end up dying prematurely because a greedy developer basically doesn't give a shit about the existing population, and they are just motivated by pound signs, aided and abetted by the local councillors and the MP, who's suddenly gone from saying, I don't want this development because it's overdevelopment, it's bad for residents and the community, to saying he's not going to object because his constituents tell him they want housing. Yeah, it's a bit disingenuous in a way. Yes, they want housing, but they don't want £500,000 housing, which they haven't got a hope in hell, of getting a mortgage or paying a rent for properties at that value. Yeah, he's talked about jobs. I'm not sure. I mean, you tell me, what jobs are going to be created in Southall? Where's the space, right? Every bit of land seems to be designated for housing. Apart from maybe a few, but I don't have the detail of the draft local plan in my head. But the one that I can think of that's designated for industry is the Honey Puff site, right, as a logistics centre. So what that's going to do is introduce more traffic into the area. How the hell a lorry is going to be able to exit and enter Southall? The really narrow corridor that takes you to the A312 and M4. And I'm laughing because there are times the traffic's been so bad that I've turned around and gone home. I've abandoned my journey, to go to Tesco or wherever I was going. Last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, I said to my kids, I'm not taking you to Rangers because the traffic is so bad. And I just don't know how long it will take us to get there. And it's just, I don't want to be sitting in stationary traffic, adding to the pollution. I felt really devastated when Ray shared the photograph of the planning notice. And there was only 3 weeks from the time it was posted, from the 1st of November to the 22nd of November, for residents to lodge their comments, whether it's in support or neutral or an objection. And there was only one yellow planning notice seen on Beaconsfield Road. Yeah, so many people don't know about what is going on, and it's frightening when it's described on a planning notice as a major development. Also, there was a note at the bottom that, along the lines, if you encounter a server problem, try again very quickly. I mean, what's that all about? Why aren't the council service, robust and up to the job? Yeah. I tried downloading some of the documents and I gave up. because I thought, oh, it must be my internet connection on my computer. Well, no, it wasn't, because somebody in Brighton had the same problem trying to download documents. So they're doing everything, whether, I wouldn't say necessarily deliberate, but incompetence is involved, poor IT architecture, and servers, to make it as difficult as possible for residents to object. There was no mention that residents could send an email, or a very old-fashioned method, but would suit some people, sending a letter by Royal Mail. They don't want people to be aware of their right to comment. And if you live in Southall, more than likely, knowing the expertise that people have about the area, would likely object to this monstrosity of a housing application.
Yeah, and Ange, like, just to say, I'm just having a look at one of these planning documents, like these maximum height, I'm just looking at on one of this on page 6 of the application PDF. 89 meters, 19 story is one. Yeah. You've got 16 stories the next one. You've got 12 stories the next one, 14 stories, 27 stories, 13 stories, 12 stories. They're just some of them. You tell me now, after Grenfell, have we not learnt? If there is a fire, even in a 12-story flat, my mum lives in a 12-story flat. There was a fire on the 11th floor where my mum lives. To get down those stairs, there needs to be 2 stairwells. There needs to be accessible wheelchair ramps going down, those emergency ones which flip down and you can wheel a wheelchair down, because there are disabled people living on the, say, on the 10th floor in that block of flats my mum lives in. The council have not learned. The property developer, be honest, we can all say it, they don't learn, because they would have stopped when they found out about cash. But instead, they carry on affecting our health, our well-being, both mentally and physically, day in, day out. I'm pretty sure everybody on this call can agree here. And to say you're going to build a 19-story block of flats in the heart of Southall, where it's going to be an eyesore, number one, you get, as Harminder Dariwal, a very good colleague of ours, brought out to me, there is a wind, I don't know the correct term, my apologies, but there's a gust of wind which circulates around buildings at the bottom, especially if they're high up. And this is one thing I've noticed where my mother lives, where she lives in a 12-story block of flats. Whenever I'm downstairs in winter, it is very windy down there, but you normally don't get a gust of wind around there because there's no trees.
Yeah, it's like that in Hounslow. Barratt homes are built. It used to be an outdoor car park, and now it's high-rise housing. Yeah, in front or behind of the high street, but you've got Asda nearby. So you get people naturally walking through. They created a walkway so you can go from, where Asda is and all the shops. Sorry?
There's an infrastructure. There is a supermarket.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying, what you're talking about, the wind tunnel, when it's windy, you get buffeted about in the walkway, and it's hard to walk, yeah? And you're young, Sophie, an older person, yeah, who's got weak core muscles is going to struggle. And somebody also mentioned to me, they know somebody who lives in one of those Barratt developments, and they can't get Wi-Fi. They haven't got Wi-Fi. It's shocking, really, in a new development. And, it doesn't bode well for Southall that Parkside Yards is going to be demolished. Somebody said it's actually going to be moved. Well, they need to demolish it. You can't pick it up and put it down like a tent. Yeah.
Wrap it up in a nice box.
Basically, you've got to build a new building. You've got to dismantle it, yeah, if you're going to move it. But effectively, it's going to be demolished, yeah. Yeah. the sports hall that they propose, to my mind, a sports hall isn't a sports centre. You know, it reminds me of when I was at school. A sports hall, you know, was literally that where you do basketball,
Badminton, netball.
badminton, trampolining. The kids have a sports hall. There's a climbing wall. But that's probably about indoor, you know, five-a-side football, but that's probably about it, yeah? In terms of activities, yeah? We've lost a sports centre that had 2 gyms, one a female-only gym. It had a sports hall downstairs, 2 saunas,
A
and a
dance
health...
studio.
Sorry?
And a dance studio.
Oh, I missed that. Didn't know about that. But also a health education room, because I did a course pre-diabetics. You know, where does the NHS run these courses now? I have no idea. You know, it's just astounding. And looking at the stats for Dormers Wells High School, that's also oversubscribed, not just Featherstone. Villiers only had 40 places so it was undersubscribed, but 40 places, you know, that's nothing. You know, you could fill those places during the course of a school year with, you know, people moving into the area. So it's really scary what is going on. Dr. Mangat surgery on Beaker Road closed down. There is a shortage of GPs, yeah? So they might be planning to build a health centre and housing 8 GPs. A resident, so that's not going to be enough for the population, yeah?
There's
but also, you know,
on average, a GP in Southall has about 7,000 patients. On
yeah. But also, it's going to be more challenging to attract GPs to an area where there's a very significant health burden. I've already talked about, you know, diabetes, yeah? And, you know, they have to think about their budgets.
Yeah.
So it might not necessarily be a walk in the park whenever whatever government is in power addresses and resolves the issue of training GPs and retaining them within the National Health Service.
People need inside, you know, facilities, not outside. They have some equipments outside in the parks. You know, how could the older people go there now? It's especially when it's winter time is cold, and
Exactly.
also young children, women. You know, like there are lots of always, you know, people are doing drugs. They are sitting there most of the time. I witness, and in this sports center they used to have games. Like I used to play badminton there, and exercise machines. You know, over there, lots of them for ladies
Was this
separate.
at Southall Sports Centre, Rashpal?
Yeah. They need a lot of, you know, like these facilities for the people, you know, like to entertainment, or to, you know, like do to keep busy mentally and physically, to, you know, be healthy. And this is it's going downfall, you know, everything. I don't know. Then not enough facilities, you know, like not enough doctors, maybe not enough other services. They're running out of services, and they're just bringing a lot of people here. What for? And it should be managed properly, you know.
Because the assumption is that these newcomers will be jumping on the Elizabeth line, and maybe, you know, they can afford private GP services. You know, it's just ridiculous in my mind that the main driver for all this development is railway line. You know, it's just shocking that what we perceive we should, you know, have as a basic requirement in our towns, so in our town, such as a supermarket. Southall does not have a large supermarket. If you want to do a supermarket shop,
Only pawn shops here.
exactly, you need to go to Tesco or Sainsbury's in Hayes, yeah?
They're charging extra money also in pawn shop. Like if you go for pound, one pound thing, and they charge you extra over there, and which is not fair for the people. Why they are, nobody's checking them. No, like these people should
Yeah,
check what they're doing inside. And
but in fact,
sorry, somebody want to talk?
no, Rashma, you go.
Yeah, it's not right for the people. Whatever is happening, it shouldn't happen. In the first place. It should be managed, like the shops, like so much fly tipping everywhere, like the floors are dirty, nobody is there to clean. And like I don't know what the people are doing. They just taking money, the whoever is they are hiring, or are they taking any notice? The police is not working. The like the transport is not working, and the Berkeley group, what they are doing, they are not fit for us. They should leave these all.
There's actually problems on the site, Rashpal. You've got youngsters who are bored roaming about, yeah? And
Yeah,
during the daytime, they are inhaling nitrous oxide. They probably smoke weed as well, but I've certainly seen them inhale nitrous oxide.
there I noticed a lot of them
Yeah.
on social media. Like they're spending time on the like social media. It's not healthy for them. For it's and also they should be active. Like doing things for their life, not supposed to do the bad things, on the roads. I saw, and I can, like tell how they are feeling, people, because I am trained, like about mental health. So I see them how they are, like they from their, the social media posts, and from how they are, outside wandering, and they are frustrated about this area, which is not good for anybody. To older people, I think they are scared to come on the outside now, Broadway. I haven't seen them many of them.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago the council wanted to sell off the young adult centre. I mean, I don't know what's happening with that. I mean, apparently they should be refurbishing it. But when they use the centre to provide services for young people, those services are not widely advertised. Yeah, they should be working, if you like, in partnership with the schools to make youngsters aware of what the YAC offers. You have to sort of do a deep dive of the internet to find out, when it's open and what facilities and services are available.
Online services, whenever you call them, they are not answering. Like they just put on the machine. You have to. Yesterday I was calling. It took me 2 hours today to go on the phone, and still they didn't pick up. The council.
The council,
Yeah.
it's very, very hopeless. They want everybody to log on, fill out one of the forms online.
There's nothing, no email, no logging in, no website doesn't work, and just call, and you call, and there are machines are like answering the calls, and nothing's working. In the council is just careless about people. And,
I think we are sadly on the receiving end of that callous disregard, and it could be so much better if the people we elected, the councillors who we elected, actually stood with us. This is humongous. This is major what is happening.
It should be planned properly, like how, like people shouldn't be treated like that, how they're treating. Like even, worse than animals. Animals should be treated better as well, every
they probably think, you know, well, money's going to make a difference to the mental health and well-being of somebody on a 27th story, you know, that they're going to be immune from depression and anxiety, and not being able to chat to their neighbours like I chat to neighbours in the close where I live. So much more difficult if you're living in a tall tower block.
And
But
you
anyway, I'm
feel-
really conscious of the time. Do you think we could finish a little bit earlier tonight? Because I'm
Yeah.
very keen to
that's
share this recording on our social media and just do a very final call to get people to register their objection
Yeah,
before
I
11
think
o'clock
let's
tonight.
wrap up. I just want to say to finally, thank you for attending, everyone. I know I came on late, but thank you for attending, and obviously we'll see you next month. And hopefully we get that push to object this planning application, as our colleague Angela's been saying. Please do submit your objections, and just speak your mind on there. But obviously your address is publicized, but it's one of those things that you want to be on the right side of history. Yes,
100%. Yeah.
So take care, everyone, and good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Great that you've made it. Nice to meet a newcomer. So spread the word. I apologize that I didn't publicize this well enough. We normally have more people on the call, but really my time was taken up with trying to promote awareness of the planning application. So this unfortunately was on the back burner. But what I would hope is that you know, obviously that it's rejected, but we need to be at the planning committee meeting. Yeah, Southall needs to turn out in force. Yeah, and make our, you know, our voices known. Obviously, following all the right protocols in the meeting, but we need bodies, we need people to be there, not just kind of like one or two of us, you know, for impact, because they record the meetings. You know, obviously, I've seen a planning committee meeting and you've got members of the public seated in front of the camera, so you just see the backs of people. But the last meeting I saw, you know, that seemed to be very well attended by members of the public. We need to do the same whenever we get notification. But yeah, thanks everybody. I'm going to stop the recording now. So we will, as usual, share the date of our next meeting on social media. Don't know if we're going to have one next month, because you know it's obviously the season where people like to party and relax and, you know, chill out. But
Maybe
you
do
know,
it mid-month instead of end of the month. Maybe.
Yeah, perhaps in maybe 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, the week of the 11th.
Yeah,
Probably, but we'll
Do
stay
it in the middle. Do it in the middle, Ange. We do it in the middle.
Yeah. But I don't want to be the only person turning up talking to myself.
No. Do it to the middle of the month.
Yeah.
And just quickly, if I may say so, please.
Yeah, of course.
How did you get on with the radio station, as we discussed, to speak to him about?
I haven't gone there yet.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, that's something. Yeah, we need to push for. Yeah. But anyway, good night, everybody.
Everybody, please try to turn up to the meeting in our local MP's office on 2 o'clock.
On Friday.
I believe it's the 24th. Yes, Friday.
Yeah, on Friday. Yeah.
It would be good to see everybody.
Make a stand for the right reasons. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now.
Well, then take care, guys.
Okay.